would believe that I was thinking of any scale right now playing this little improvisation here. Definitely not, right? I mean, I was just hearing stuff, I was reaching for notes, I was trying to play like a singer. Now let me do the same thing as someone that is still studying scales, and maybe you can hear yourself in there, you know, depending on where you are in your guitar development. And then in this lesson today, I'm gonna show you approaches of how to break out of this scale mindset and why it's not working, why scales can never be music, and why it takes so much effort to make scales sound like music. But why should you be listening to me? Well, my name is Ulrich Ellison. I'm really passionate on showing guitarists how to play with more expression and more meaning. And I really believe that music is a language that needs to be spoken, and it's not just something that you learn in a dictionary, or you know, it's nothing abstract. So I want to turn you on today to playing more with your emotional hemisphere, with your heart and the creative side of your brain, and leave the analytical side behind, because you're really not gonna need that much of scale shapes. I mean, like I was playing now, you know, I wasn't playing any shapes almost, yeah? So let's first listen what it would sound like if I thought in shapes, and then you tell me which you prefer. Yeah, you already see where this is going. This was even, in a way, a musical way to play the scales. You know, there's also a way where you completely ignore the backing track. I mean, I was at least listening to the backing track, but you see the problems of sticking to scale shapes. I mean, I'll sum them up for you. The problems are that you're gonna play more notes than you usually would, and that's musical. You play a lot of notes, just adjacent notes, without any leaps. Even, you know, gonna play more, even if you do, it's still gonna sound way more mechanic. So you're just not gonna move around freely. Next problem, you're probably not gonna bend so many strings. You're not gonna apply so much phrasing, because you're just so obsessed with which notes to play that you just forget about all the phrasing. And then last but not least, which has to do with the phrasing, most likely you're also not gonna play very interesting rhythms, because again, you're so stuck in your scale shapes and picking those sequences that you've practiced that you're probably not going to come up with good rhythms. All right, so what's the alternative? If scales are not the thing to practice, Ulrich, then what is? Well, I'm going to tell you. And keep in mind that this is very much based on playing on stages all across the world, thousands of shows. So this is a very practical approach, but I do believe that this is closer to the way that most of my peers are doing it, and the legends too. Think of the thumbnail of this video, you know, Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, Stevie Ray Vaughan, David Gilmour. They sure did not think of scale shapes, very often didn't even know the scales. So what they ended up doing a lot is playing in a horizontal domain. Playing, I'm not saying always on one string, but more horizontally. I want to show you what that looks like, and then maybe you can agree that this already sounds way more musical, yeah? So if I start here, yeah, awesome. So why does that work well? I think there's several reasons this, what I call one string approach, works really well, because it forces you to hear the next note and go for the next note. You can't rely on any scale shapes. You have to just envision the note and then slide into it. If you want to make a leap, you really have to know where to go. Yeah, you really have to go. If you're like, no, that's the root note, you know. Down, I go down, 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 down. You really have to hear each note before you make a jump. Yeah, because there's no scale shape that you can hold on to. That's really valuable. And then also you're gonna apply more phrasing. Because you're on one string, you have more phrasing freedom. You can really milk the note, especially if it's in the in-between strings. You know, I specifically love to do this on the B string, G string, and D string. On the high E, you can only go so far because you're gonna fall off the fretboard. Yeah. So yeah, just as a side note. So yeah. That's a super valuable strategy to get out of those scale shapes. And if you haven't practiced soloing on one string yet, I highly recommend it. And by the way, I want to make a short interruption here and tell you about my upcoming no-cost Zoom guitar class, where I'm gonna touch on these approaches and my practice system that I use with my TGT students. This Saturday, June 13th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. This class is going to be awesome if you want to learn more about connecting these types of approaches into a structured practice that you can use to get much better in as little as 90 days. Like I said, the link is down below. It's only gonna cost you a time investment of showing up for about 90 minutes. It's completely free of charge. Yes, but let's continue here. So we got the one string approach, and then also we have this melodic chordal approach that I use here. Yeah? So if you look, there's a little double stop phrases. I'm just gonna show you what I did here. Yeah? So if I play. Yeah. Do you see what's going on here? So I'm not just playing single notes. I'm actually playing this little chordal embellishments that are very much based around not scales, but can you guess it already? Around triads. I already recorded a full lesson about this triad-based approach. In fact, there's many chordal style lessons here on my channel, but I want to turn you on to this lesson up here that you can watch if you want to learn more about this chordal approach. But if you maybe already studied it, let's just bring it back to our attention that this is a much more musical approach than running scales up and down the neck. Instead, I'm going. And I'm really thinking in triad shapes, or in chord tones. Super valuable. So let's summarize what I'm trying to communicate here in this lesson. I want to tell you that if you're spending lots of time in your practice to just practice scales up and down the neck, then I want to tell you that you probably waste a lot of time with that, because you not only learn the notes, which would be a good thing, you also develop some muscle memory of very mechanical sequences that's not very useful for melodic improvisation. So what we want to do instead is start practicing melodies and improvisation on one string, including a bunch of phrasing. I didn't touch on this, but you also want to work on your string bending and your vibrato. And this one string exercise is also a great way to focus on that a little more. So you learn how to improvise on one string. You kind of connect the black spots on the fretboard by learning the fretboard horizontally and finding the right notes. And then you also have a look into the chordal approach. Instead of thinking of a G major scale, you think of G major triad. And then I was touching here specifically on the Hendrix Chordal Style and melodic use of sixth intervals. Yes, these are a lot of great approaches to study, and I hope to see you in my class on Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun, and try to be there on time if you can. It's going to fill up. It's going to be good. So, I'm excited that this won't not only be a one-sided communication like usually here on YouTube, where you're just watching me do my circus tricks, but I'm actually gonna see who is behind the computer screen, and we're gonna get to interact as well. In that sense, the registration link is down there in the description. See you on Saturday.